I've had several questions about nested if statements. So I put together a little explanation for you to see if this helps any. The first thing about nested if statements is that you read it from left to right, just like you do a book. So if the first formula, which in this case is if B2 is greater than or equal to B3, that is the first part of my formula. Now this comma separates this little piece of the formula from the rest of it. So that tells me I have to figure out, is this true or false? If B2 is greater than or equal to B3, then I would go immediately to my right and encounter what's next. Since it is a formula instead of a number or an answer, that's what makes it a nested if. Okay? Now, in this case, B2 greater than or equal to B3, the answer is false, not true. So I have to go to one more section to the right. Now, the reason why I go clear over here to this last zero is because this parenthesis ends here, and this is the end of the equation. This part in the middle is part of the next equation, and notice that it has an open and closed parenthesis around this section. So since the answer to this is false, that tells me that my formula, if it's correct, should return a 0. So when I hit my check mark, notice that my answer is in fact a 0. Now, if you'll look over here, I made a little decision tree like we used to do for, remember we used to factor our stuff out, factor trees? It's kind of the same idea. If B2 is greater than or equal to B3, that's what we just did here. So we have true and we have false. If it's true, then we would go to here, which is this portion of the formula. If it's false, then my answer is 0, which is the last piece of the formula here. Now, if B2 is greater than or equal to B4, which is this B number 3 here, if this is true, the answer is going to be 6,500, which is right after the first thing to the right, 6,500. If the answer is false, then I go to the end of that section, which here's the closing parenthesis, the answer will be 5,000. So that's how we determine this little piece here. So let's follow this. If B2 is greater than or equal to B3, true or false? The answer is false. So since it's false, the answer should be 0, which that's this right here. And as you can see, it is. So now let's change it. If B2 are greater than or equal to B3, so let's say that B2 is equal to B3, and we're going to change this to a 2, so it's the same. Alright, notice that my formula automatically changed to 5,000. So this first part of the formula, if B2 is greater than or equal to B3, the answer was true. So we came here and we followed down. Now, if B2 is greater than or equal to B3, so if B2 is greater than or equal to B4, so we had to figure out, is this true or false? If it's true, it goes immediately to the right. And if it's false, it goes to the end of that section, which here's our stopping parenthesis. The answer would be 5,000. So if B2 is greater than or equal to B4, the answer would be true, 6,500. And if it's false, it's 5,000. So in this case, B2 greater than or equal to B4, is B2 greater than or equal to B4? No, it's not. So since my answer is false, this answer should be 5,000. So with that understanding, if B2 is greater than or equal to B4, so let's say that B2 is 5. Alright, if everything follows, this would be true, so we come down here and the answer would be 6,500, correct? So we're going to hit enter, And voila, the answer is 6,500. That is the logic behind a nested if.